Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 12 of Street Level Floppies. Friday night means independent comics, creator-owned comics, do-it-yourself comics, and anything else comics that we feel like talking about. On my right, I have Chris. All right, and to my left, we have Fred.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm here to educate you, not Andrew this week.
Hey, that's my line. I educate. That's right. I educate, okay? I teach. Getting crap from a teacher about educating. Sheesh. And we're going to learn about some new comics this week. So on that note, first, Chris has a couple of things to share with us about one of his new projects that he's working on. Cool. I had one quick question. One thing that's been going around is Ed Breeson's been tweeting a lot about, and then Scott Snyder joined him a bit about how you don't send your script or your ideas ever in an email to these guys. Like for legal reasons, they will not read it, they will delete it, they'll whatever. So something like this, you're printing it independently. It's not a Marvel thing, so that you can show to the editors and all that stuff. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. A great place for young writers, young artists, people that want to break into network and meet people, and in the end, and maybe also get something for their resume. You never know. So yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity for like somebody looking to get their work looked at. I mean, how many people can say that they have Marvel editors looking at their stuff right away? Just submit your stuff, man. That's the opportunity. Gotta take those chances.
Yeah, you guys need to learn who the editors are. Find their Twitter page and find out what they look like, because you know what? They're probably at the con and you're probably ignoring them. They're probably the person sitting behind Tom King or Donnie Cates eating a sandwich, and you don't even realize that that's the boss back there. Because you're so, caught up in the artist and in the writer that there's somebody back there that makes a lot of big decisions. Those are the ones you want to meet. Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. So now let's go ahead and get into our comics for this week. There wasn't a lot of comic book news. We looked around. There were some tiny things, nothing that really was earth-shaking that we feel you have to know. I think going into the holidays, things get quiet, and then we'll hit things to kind of kick off the new year. Maybe in December we'll get some announcements, but boy, it was quiet. So our first comic this week is Clan Killers #4. Like the demented stepchild of Game of Thrones, Braveheart, and Mark Millar's Kick-Ass, Clan Killers brings readers into an ancient Ireland filled with clans, mystics, warriors, and monsters of epic proportion. Finola finds herself deep behind enemy lines, while far off, Cillian is building an army to help her. Bonds are tested, and the questions of family fidelity comes to a crashing head in the 4th installment. Written by Sean Lewis, art and cover by Antonio Fuso, colorist Stefano Simeoni, lettered by David Sharp, cover by Chris Burnham and Alan Pasquale, editor Mike Martz, published by Aftershock. This is Clan Killers. Fred, what were your thoughts on Clan Killers?
Well, first off, I want to start off by saying, excuse me, getting that winter voice right now. This is one of my favorite Aftershock books out right now. This one seems to be paced really well. It's kind of quick, actually, this issue. And maybe it's because I read it 3 times that it seemed to be quicker each time. But I think in this issue, I have a feeling like no one can be trusted in this book. Like, you can't trust anybody. There's plenty of dark humor in this book. I will say that the art is sometimes a little bit confusing because of the faces. I had a couple of times where I was wondering who we were talking about, but it didn't take away from the story that much because the dialogue, after I figured it out, I was like, oh, okay. Now, one of the dark humor parts that I thought was kind of hilarious was, I think, who was it? Finola loses her hand, and she's like talking, and it just keeps going, and she's kind of complaining, and they're like, oh, I don't know how you deal with it, or something like that. And the Headless Horseman's like, amateurs, when he's sitting there. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny because his head is in his hands. But I thought that was funny. Obviously, Chris didn't. But also in this issue, we see like Finola is I feel like she's either being possessed or she has become Balor, which is interesting to me. I thought that the other dark humor part I'll leave to Andrew. I think he found a lot of humor in it, and he mentioned it earlier today. God, so I'll pitch it to him.
Oh, you're going to pitch it to me. I was going to send it to Chris. Yeah, I really liked Clan Killers. You did highlight some of the things. It did sometimes get confusing with this art style. You can kind of lose it where you're supposed to follow the placement of the bubbles. And I have to look again, okay, which person is speaking right now? And there was kind of a death or an attack that I didn't realize who had done it until I turned the page. And maybe it was meant to be that way for me not to understand, but I didn't get it right away. I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then I had to go back and read before. So there's little minor problems, but I like it. I like Game of Thrones. So you have everybody's trying to kill everybody just to be the king. It's a grimy and nasty story in that sense that, like you said, about, there's carving tattoos in his daughter. And then that whole thing with the bishop, yeah, that made me laugh. An ass for an ass. This bishop, it's implied that he did things to kids, and so the character was, I think she was taken in by the church when she was little too, and by the bishop, so that she's exacting revenge on the bishop, and you have all these little kids behind her, yeah, and they're all saying an ass for an ass, and they're all like, oh, it just really cracked me up. Yeah, I mean, I really like this book. It's a lot of fun. It's a painting style similar to Coyotes, one of Sean Lewis's other books. But I don't know if this one quite hits as well as Caitlin Yarzinski's Coyotes does. That's just a personal preference. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think next issue, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious if that's the end of it all, or that's just the end, and if it did enough, made enough money and sold well enough, or if the trade sells well enough, if they'll give us a next chapter.
I really hope that they do continue because this is like one of the stronger aftershocks books in my opinion. I mean, I like the world it's placed in. I like the mythology, the Irish mythology. I think that's kind of sweet. I think we need more of that. And like Chris said, the art style is good because it kind of plays to that type of book. Like if you're gonna open up an old school mythology book, that's the type of art you're gonna see. It's definitely confusing. I mean, I guess it's just like us trying to figure out who is who at times, which is kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like Sean Lewis's dialogue. I think he's pretty witty and he's kind of sneaky with his humor at times. So I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing I would say is even the covers, it kind of doesn't tell you enough of what kind of book this is. And when you think Aftershock, you think horror right away. So some of those covers can kind of come across like the horror. Like I didn't know anything about Clan Killers till you told me about it when we first started looking at it. And I had seen the books and I thought it was about vampires. It just from the way the covers look, the girls, the daughters that are on the cover, I thought these are like a vampire women. It's a coven of vampires or a coven of witches or something. Aftershock horror, scary. That's where my mind went. And then you told me, this is a medieval setting. This is about, old Ireland and different things like that. I was like, oh, okay, very different. So maybe part of why a lot of people don't talk about it is they don't realize what the book is about. So I hope maybe we've helped people know that it's something else and they'll give it a shot. Game of Thrones fans and stuff.
Yeah, me too. Because I mean, I think if you're not reading this one, you're kind of missing out because this is one of those sneaky books that everybody doesn't pay attention. Everybody's reading Heroes in Crisis, and they need to start checking out some of these.
Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 And you mentioned when I think we maybe did the last one, they've done a good job of incorporating legitimate mythology from the area. So if you're a fan of that historical fiction, like again, I keep going back to Game of Thrones and the Hobbits, Fred. Yes, the Hobbits. These kind of are Braveheart or things like that. it has those kind of elements that,
Yeah,
if you're a fan of that, you'd
yeah,
like.
because you get a dose of Balor, Banshees, the Headless Horseman. Chris knows the actual name, right? Doulahan. I mean, you get all that Celtic stuff on this. I enjoy this. This is a book that I always look forward to. When we come up with our list, this is one that I always mention we should take a look at before we finalize it for sure.
Fred, I'll hit you first. What would you score Clan
I
Killers?
think this issue is a 4 for me, but I think the next issue has a lot of chance to be a lot higher because there's going to be a lot to be tied up next issue, and I look forward to it.
Chris, what about you? Yeah, I'll give it a 4 too. I did get confused a little bit, but as you guys talk to me, I'm realizing, yeah, maybe I didn't get to it fairly. And I tried to read it both ways. First, I read it in the PDF, and I told Fred, I was like, oh, it's bugging me. I'm waiting for my physical copy. But I got my physical copy, and I still had a couple of little issues, but it read much better as the actual comic. But yeah, 4 sounds good. All right, the next one, Shanghai Red number 5. The higher-ups in Portland, alerted to her bloody path of revenge, begin to tighten their net around Red, who's got one last name to cross off her list. As she struggles to decide who she really is, and the cops come down hard on her friends, she'll have to fight her way through bureaucracy, the tunnels, and her sister to get to the man who put her on the boat 3 years ago. Revenge is never simple, but Red and Jack are about to find out just how big and complicated it can get. Written by Christopher Savella. Art, cover, and colors by Joshua Hickson. Lettered by Hassan Otsman Elahu. Color flatting, Roman Stevens. Editor, Andrea Shocking. Published by Image, Shanghai Red. Okay, this was the last chapter in Shanghai Red. Now, we could end up with something later. Like I said, we talk about how sometimes they say, okay, well, that worked and we'll do another run in the future. But this was the ending in essence. So I had high hopes for it because I really liked this comic. I felt the last one slipped a little, but I still really liked it. This one felt a little messy to me. It's like he had a lot still left to tell, and he only had one comic. So, man, we talked about the last one moving fast. This one was moving fast. Like, it could have really benefited from one more issue, like maybe telling the story of her in the bar and how she got out of the bar, and then the ship and the ending would be another issue. But then again, it might be too long and that'd be too much exposition. But it really felt fast and it felt forced. There was a lot to tell, but it wasn't bad. I mean, like the solicit says, her realizing that what she's trying to do, she can't really do it alone. That was the message, that she can't exact this revenge without help. She needs her sister. She needs friends. She needs her crew. And in the end, it proves out that point. The ending, because they kind of tack on another ending, felt a tad bit corny, but I guess it's satisfying because, comeuppance and revenge was extracted. But art was beautiful again. The dialogue was really good, actually. I just felt like the story was like, the pacing, like, we need to get this done. This is your last book. It's all here today. Hang on, and we're going to finish this today. That would be my only complaint. Chris, what'd you think? I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm basically where you guys are at. I wanted another issue. I felt like it was kind of pushed along because like the beginning. What was it? What issue is this?
This is issue 5.
Five. This is five. Okay, like the first four issues was like total vengeance and like rage and stuff. Okay, I felt like this issue was like more about the heart and not the vengeance. Like we start to see Molly's heart, Jack, whoever you want to call her in this issue. We start to see that because she basically said that Molly died on the ocean and she took on the persona of Jack. I thought that was kind of huge, but like I think you could have done that in another issue and just like knocked off Bunko Kelly or whatever his name is, and like the next issue, like I felt like that could have been done. Because I did feel like it was too compact, kind of like the 14 years later thing. That I was like, oh, really? That's where we're going with this? I was like, oh, okay. Because I was so invested in the prior books that I was kind of disappointed. But I still think it was like a well job writing. I just wish that there was an extra issue there. But yeah, that's all I have for this book, really.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Maybe that's why our disappointment is a little high. Is we are invested in this book. We've read it since the beginning. We really liked it. The first 3, I would say. And it's been 4 and 5 that kind of like, uh-oh. You saw little signs in 4, and then 5 really, just kind of missed the mark in places. But it is what it is. You got to finish a comic book, and that's how it had to be done. So, Fred, if you were going to give a score for Shanghai Red.
I'll give it, even though I'm disappointed with this issue, I still like the overall story arc, and I'll give it a 3.5. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go as low as a 3. I just, like I said, maybe it's my disappointment. Maybe I read this again in a few weeks where my expectations aren't so high, and I see it as a 3.5. But right now, it feels like a 3. I wanted more from it, and it was all over the place. It finished. It gave me an ending. I just not sure it was done. It wasn't crafted as well as I would like. Let's move on to the next one. Bone Parish number 4. Following a devastating loss at the hands of the cartel, the Winters family is in turmoil. To defeat their foes, they might have to break the cardinal rule of dealing. Never get high on your own supply. Written by Cullen Bunn. Illustrated by Jonas Scarf. Colorist Alex Golimares. Lettered by Ed Dukeshire. Cover Lee Garbett. Variant cover Tyler Crook. Editor Eric Harburn. Published by Boom. This is Bone Parish. Chris, Bone Parish. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I think like this issue was extremely well done. Um, I like the tension and the action there is in almost every issue. Like Chris said, he kind of mentioned like backed into a corner. I like how the Winters family reacted when they were backed into a corner. They're showing like they're not playing. Like I don't care who you are and who's your boss, but we're the Winters family. And, dude, this issue is amazing. It might be like one of the top two books this week that we review. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, echo a lot of this. This book has been well done every issue. It's obvious that whatever story he came up with this, he adds this one tight, tight. And it opens up with the cartel guy on top of the world, and then through this comic, you see the fall, as the winners, like you say, gather themselves and take care of business. And that was really cool. It was an emotional episode. The sister trying to play strong and tough. She doesn't break down in front of anyone. She breaks down alone, down in her lab. Um, the kind of implications of the wife with the father, the patriarch of the family, that is available to us in like ghost form, I guess, is the best way to describe it if you're not reading it. That was cool. It's kind of like, okay, we're done with you. Mom, like you said, mama's taking charge, and I'm going to do this my way. And she even stands up to the New York mob guy who she's kind of having a thing with, and she kind of implies to him, like, you better not be screwing me over either. Really, really solid book. The art is awesome. It's just scary enough, but this is a gangland story. This is a mob story with a weird supernatural twist, is the best way for me to put it, which is so perfect for New Orleans. And yeah, one of the best books easily that we're reading right now. Um, I was kind of hard on his other book last week, but this one I love. Oh yeah. Uh huh. Oh yeah. Uh huh. Yeah, it went a little. Yeah, he tried to top himself maybe from last week a little too hard. Yeah, you got challenged. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Special delivery from Japan. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure.
I think it was like I want to say it's 9 issues, but I'm not sure.
Mm, yeah, then we still are good. We're barely at the halfway point then. That's awesome. Yeah, it had a Scarface feel this time too. The whole thing, because dealing with that cartel guy, he kind of had that Tony Montana thing, thinking he was invincible, and he's surrounded by all his ladies, and he's just thinking he's in. They blow it in his face, and it's like, nah, throw it in his face. You're done. So that was really cool. So scores then, Chris. What would you give Bone Parish? Nice, big five. Fred.
I'll give it a 4.5.
Same. I'll give it a 4.5 too. Not exactly perfect for me. I told Fred, I couldn't even remember the ending. We checked the ending before we got online. I had to remember how it ended. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it could be because I read it first. It was the first book I read of the week, and I kind of forgot a few things. But so I said, well, the fact that it didn't stick with me, then I have to kind of give it a knock. But that's on me. That could be on me too. But yeah, what a great book. This one I do recommend. Try to find it. If it's a 9, then try to go back and get it. Maybe get it digitally. I don't know how hard it is to get Boom books. I don't know if this is out of print already, or if you can go back and get the 1s and the 2s. But yeah, check it out. And great art. Okay, Hex Wives #1. For hundreds of years, a war has been waged between a coven of perpetually reincarnating witches and the all-male conspiracy known as the Architects. After the death of the lead architect in 2005, it seemed the witches had finally defeated their foes. Now 13 years later, waking up in a perfect cookie-cutter home at the end of a cul-de-sac in a sunny corner of suburbia, Isadora has no recollection of her past life as the leader of a witch coven, nor her soulmate Nadia, let alone the centuries-old war she has waged in defense of the soul of America. Written by Ben Blacker. Art by Mirica Adolfo. Colorist Marisa Louise. Letters by Josh Reed. Cover by Joelle Jones and Jody Belaires. Variant cover by Jenny Friesen. Editor Molly Mahan. Assistant editor Maggie Howell. Published by Vertigo. Hex Wives. Okay, first of all, before I even go into the book, that lineup of artists is a murderer's row of artists. That is an incredible lineup. I mean, you got to buy the variant. You got one cover by Joelle Jones. You have another cover by Jenny Friesen. Then you have Mirka Adolfo doing the interior art, who's pretty damn amazing herself. This book, from an art standpoint, looks beautiful. And that's before I've even gotten into the story. So I'm already enamored with both covers. I open it. The book looks great. Beautiful colors. So it's a great looking book. Then the story was very interesting to me. Fred and I kind of talked about this one a lot because it's different. If you watch Mad Men, you're going to like this book. There's a lot of Mad Men. And the bad guys are Don Draper and the men in Mad Men. And the witches are the women. It also has a bit of Stepford Wives. So these women have been kind of brainwashed into believing that their life is meant to be the perfect little housewife who mixes the martini for their husband, who smokes a cigarette in secret because women don't do that. Good women don't do that. And they make sure the chicken is in the oven in time for dinner when their husband comes home from a hard day of work. And women don't ask questions about work because it's not a woman's place. So it's a way to keep these witches in check. The first half of the book is about the history of the witches. I found that really entertaining. I found the dialogue funny. There's a lot of funny exchanges between it as these guys flounder around trying to beat these witches, and these witches are basically just toying with them like cats with a mouse. I really like the book. It's not perfect, and there's some things that I'm still not unsure of, but I definitely want to see more. I think it's well written, and I think it's a book that may make an impact as time goes along. Chris? Hmm? Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
What's a goat knobber?
Do we want to know? Do we want to know? I don't know if I want to know what it is.
I was just wondering. I mean, that's one of those funny parts in the book. I think I might know what it is, but I'm not quite sure. Um, Now, like this book, I, I thought like the take on the witches was a little different because what's her name, Isadora Roma, she gets more power because of the
Hmm.
blood. I thought that was very interesting. From other like witch stuff. I do like the art by Mirka. I'm gonna butcher her name, Mirka.
Adolfo?
Oh man, let me try my Italian. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. Yeah, it's really done well. I think it's especially like the kind of like Real Housewives stuff at the end was done well. I like how she did like the drawing for the kind of gives you like a Leave It to Beaver feel and things like that. I really enjoy it. The book, we all know that I'm not a fan of like magic and stuff, but I did like this book after I read it the second time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, there's magic. I wouldn't say it's the focus. Like you said, these
Right.
witches are they're empowered modern women is the best way to kind of explain the witches, I guess. They're progressive feminists. They're controlling their own destiny, and they are being persecuted for it because they're witches, and they are given powers to give us the mythical part of it. But they could just be women, regular women that are just being persecuted for being smart and independent and not willing to settle for the status quo. And for
Right.
that reason, they are not liked by this group of men that are running the show. Yeah, the art is great. I am coming off of I'm watching Sabrina right now, so I'm into this whole witches and magic stuff anyway. So it's in my wheelhouse right now.
Now, do you feel like they're hunting these women because they're witches, or is there something
I
else
think it's
there?
more the bigger message. They don't like that these women are more powerful than them. These women could probably
Yeah.
do what they do better. You know what I mean? They could
Yeah.
run their
Because
businesses. They could be the head of their own households. The two main characters are gay, so they're a couple. So they don't even need men at
mm,
all. So they've made the
right.
man obsolete in their relationship, and I think that's the bigger story, but told under this umbrella of no, but we're persecuting them because of their supernatural nature. Therefore, they're even more powerful than their average woman. But
Yeah.
I'm
This is. I was just gonna say like this book is not short on any violence. I thought it was done like there's
oh
plenty of
yeah.
it. And it's good because the art kind of like makes it even sells it more. If I use a wrestling term, it sells it.
Yeah, that does seem really. Hey man, you know
Yeah.
editors. Why are they letting this animal violence slide through lately?
Uh-huh.
Hitting cows, killing dogs. I mean, all kinds. Yeah, there's been a lot of that this whole month, to be honest. Uh, so leave the animals
Uh,
alone. Yeah, must be.
yeah,
I'm not gonna go there. It's kind of scary. Halloween, killing the animals. Yeah, I mean, overall, good book. It's Vertigo. Man, Vertigo is killing it on their return. If you ask me,
uh,
they definitely are putting out some books that are making me step up and take notice. I'm really happy with that. On a side note, so Fred, score Hex Wives.
I'll give it this issue a 4. I thought it was good. I'm interested what's going to happen next because the last panel kind of gets you wondering. I'm along for the ride because of that last panel.
Gotcha. And Chris. Uh huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll give it a 4 too. Like I said, for the art alone, you had me. You had me with the art on this. I mean, I really am a fan of all these artists. So it just would take an average story, and I probably would have given this a 3.5. But the story was really well written, and I'm interested to see where it goes. And the message is very interesting. There's a lot to play with here. So yeah, can't wait to see more from Hex Wives. All right, next book. Maneaters number 2, Blood Will Spill Day 2. Maud experiences abdominal cramping and a sudden increased appetite. Her father investigates another mauling. Written by Chelsea Kane. Pencils and inks, Kate Neminsky? I may be butchering that, I'm sorry. Colorist, Rachel Rosenberg. Letters by Joe Carmanga. Cover and variant cover, both by Leah Mitarike. Additional art by Stella Greenvoss. I think the editor is Kate Lane because they did some like cutie little things at the end. They don't call themselves like editors and they don't call themselves. They're like, I don't know. They played with it if you read it at the end. Published by Image. This is Maneaters. Fred, were you Maneaters?
Yes, that would be me. Okay. This book was pretty well written. I think it was witty at times with some dark humor. The art is beautifully done. Colors are bright in this book. That ad in the beginning kind of sets the tone for this book and what to expect. When we see like the actual ad, it looks like something you would find in a magazine. You kind of see where we're heading in this book. And we kind of see like Maud is growing up. She's maturing as a young woman. We see her experiencing some pain and dealing with some moodiness because her body is changing. I think this book is pretty. I think like the family aspect of the book, I'm on for it, but like the murder mystery, I'm kind of like, I kind of wish that was like interwoven a little better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I do think it's done well though. I'm just thinking maybe like the book isn't so much for me per se, but I still think it's really done well. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Oh, Beyonders. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, I could echo with some of that. I liked episode or issue one more than I did issue two. I felt issue one did a better job of weaving all that in. Where yeah, this one, it's like it's two different stories: the front story and the back story, and the mystery does suffer. You don't feel any kind of fear from this quote mauling of these panther-like cats that are created from. So it just didn't. That part didn't work, and I think what she's trying to do with it, I was telling friends, it reminds me of these. You remember those books, comic books, when they gave them out to you in high school? It might be a Spider-Man or a Batman book, and it was filled with, eat your vegetables and, study hard and all that kind of. And then you have little, there's the little ads all over this things and the little side cartoons and all that. And I think that's kind of the look she's going for, which I think is very clever. So I do like that, the design of the book and the thought that's put into all this extra stuff. But I feel like I wish there was more thought put into the main story. The first part, well, entertaining. I told Fred, I made him spit his coffee. I go, that is my life. For people who don't know, I'm a single dad. I've raised already 3 young women. I'm currently raising the 4th. And yeah, where the dad is at the beginning of this book, that's how I was with daughter number 1. Very like, oh shit, I don't know what to talk to her about. She's just trying to eat, and I'm making shit up like, hey, do you like Riverdale? Hey, is the Justin Bieber album out? And she's like, well, you just shut up and leave me alone because I don't feel good today, and I don't know how to help. Now I am on daughter 4, and I probably know too much about a lot more about this topic than I care to admit because I've gone through this, and I can tell you, one of the things they've enjoyed the most throughout the years is making me squirm about this topic. They specifically will talk about things and do things. Let's see how we can make dad uncomfortable. This is a blast. And so I can kind of see it. And I think the book is great for young girls because you have that page that talks about how to put a tampon. Okay. Yeah, that's important. There's a lot of, I'm a single dad. The girls are with themselves. My mom would help, aunts, different things, but they're pretty much stuck here with a male. They're not going to ask me those questions. So, if you had a daughter of younger age and you left that comic books lying around, they would learn something and they might be entertained by this story and relate to this girl and be like, oh, this is funny. This is hilarious. So that's where I meant kind of where I said we maybe are not the audience. Now, I think a good comic book does a good job of making everybody want to check it out. And I think issue 1 did a better job than issue 2. I'm probably going to still read number 3. I'm still buying it because I'm trying to get my daughter to read them. And yeah, I'll keep going with it. But it does, the storytelling is lacking a bit.
Yeah, I want to say like your point with the comic books. I think like when I was growing up, there was like a TV show like After School Specials, narrated by like O.J. Reedmore or something was his name, and it does have that feel like this could be a show on there, so you could learn something from it with some humor, and that part is done well. I think it's a good book, the humor, but if it's the mystery part, if we're trying to figure out who the cat is, I'm already thinking it's Maud.
Yeah. Or there isn't one.
That'd be right. Like that to me, that right there, if that's the mystery, that's the part that I wish we had more with. Like maybe the second issue could have been more about the family aspect because the mom was introduced in this issue, and then go to the cat part.
Yeah,
then I would have
and
been
that
okay
wasn't
with
explained very well. All of a sudden, mom's sitting at the dinner table, like where there was no mom in the first issue, and it's like, wait a minute, where's the mom been? So that was kind of that wasn't done very well. So
yeah, but I mean, I think it's still like done well. The humor and stuff, and that's well intended. We'll have to see where issue 3 goes.
She captured the teenage girl. To me, that's teenage girl. The way the little girl was behaving and her experiences and everything. I think that was pretty good. So
right, and the satire in this book is pretty good. It's done well.
I would agree there. Uh-huh. Yeah. No doubt. That would be awesome. Yeah, that's totally what I'm thinking of. Those old books, just like that. That's what it feels like. That she's winking at us and she's giving us that. So from that aspect, I think I want more. I want a better story told. I guess is. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, but it's maybe not for me, as I said. All right, so I'm gonna hit you up first, Fred. What would you score Maneaters?
I would give this issue a 3.5 for this issue. I think that's a fair score.
And Chris? Oh man, I'm between that 3 and a 3.5. I think I'm gonna go with a 3 too. I think it's really important to tell that story as well. I understand everything else she's doing with this book, and I'm glad there's a book like this exists for somebody. But I tighten up that story, and I think you get yourself up into a place where then more people will read it. So a 3. All right. The last book of the night, Ice Cream Man number 8. Emergencies all around town. Folks are in crisis. But this ambulance ain't stopping for no one, baby. Ice Cream Man continues with another dreary confection. Written by W. Maxwell Prince. Art and cover by Martin Morazzo. Colorist Chris O'Halloran. Letters by Good Old Neon. I need to find out who Good Old Neon is. Variant cover Vanessa R. Del Rey. Designed by Ashley Walker. Published by Image. This is Ice Cream Man. Chris, what'd you think of the Ice Cream Man? Yeah, you could. I would agree.
Wow. You would have thought that Chris was like on here early when you and I talked, because he said like everything I was saying. I just kept nodding my head.
Yeah, eavesdropping.
Yeah, let me see what I can add to this. I felt like this. If you were to describe this book with one word, it would be chaos. I have a feeling like the Ice Cream Man has a feel kind of like Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's happening, and that everything around you is like kind of like a living hell. And like Chris mentioned, the people are just so desensitized, like jaded, like they don't even notice like things happening. For instance, there's like rabbits getting run over, the clown. I'm not going to spoil everything. There's rednecks playing with forks. There's robbers. There's all types of things happening. No one, nobody even thinks to bother. It kind of feels like, we mentioned in the beginning when we did this book had a Twilight Zone feel. But to me, this issue feels like a Black Mirror episode where it takes shots at society. I will add that like Martin Morazzo, his art is fantastic. I like his style. Like this book and She Could Fly, perfect. I mean, he kind of like helps along that dialogue. Not that the dialogue needs any help whatsoever, but they work so well together. This is a complete book, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This book was extremely good. I felt the last 2 issues of Ice Cream Man, kind of were changing from what the Ice Cream Man was before the early issues. That I felt like, okay, well now we're telling the story of who's the Ice Cream Man and who is the guy in the hat. Okay, but this issue went back to what I liked about the early issues. Like you said, you could read this by itself. It was his own little story of weirdness. All this stuff going around, and it's like expanded from one single story, which was going on the other things, to all these multiple stories all over town as these ambulance drivers drive all over the place and providing kind of like a dialogue as they go. And wow, this book is just so creepy and strange and thought-provoking. And yeah, and I felt just like the end of the panel when those guys say, oh yeah, we have that guy in the back. And I was like, oh yeah, the guy from last issue. I even felt the same way. Like I didn't even miss the fact that they didn't give me how the last issue ended. Like, yeah, God knows how wasted they were and how long they were driving around. And yeah, like he says, they run over a rabbit like nothing. It's always creepy when little kids are behaving in a behavior like nothing's wrong when something's obviously wrong. So there's some really shocking moments in this whole book. And man, this is a good book. I mean, just grab this issue and see if you like it. Then, go back and you can find out who the Man in the Hat is. And also some of the earlier, creepier stories they kind of reference a few of the old books here and there. Like, I think the kids are talking about stuff they saw, like, oh, well, I saw a werewolf, or I saw, they're referencing things from some earlier books. So that's in there as well. But for the most part, it's a standalone book. So you said it was your favorite, so I'm assuming your score? Perfect 5. All right. Fred?
I'll give it a 5 too. Yeah. I mean, I'm not lacking empathy like the people in this book, so 5 is my score.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to give it a 5 too, because I said the same thing. Fred asked me, what's your favorite book when we were talking about books, and I said Ice Cream Man's better than Bone Parish for me, and he was like shocked. Really? And I was like, yeah, Ice Cream Man's really good this week, and Bone Parish was good, but it wasn't Ice Cream Man level. So yeah, I'd give it a 5 as well. This book is a neat book, and it's creepy, it's scary, and it's thought-provoking. Check it out, without a doubt. That's our books for this week. Let's go ahead and move into our roundtable, maybe talk about what we're reading, what we're watching, any news we might have seen about comic books that we want to share. We can hit Crisis. I think everyone's read Crisis. Anyone have any thoughts on that? Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I still can't get over like the Superman part, so I'm kind of, I'm trying to leave it alone. Because Superman's like my favorite character, and see like somebody you kind of looked up to your whole life vulnerable, like he's a human, not an alien. It's kind of,
Yeah, it's pretty deep. Wonder Woman has a confession in this, because they show these confessionals. That's been something they showed in the first one. They're showing the best. That's probably the best part so far of the book, I think, are these confessionals. And even Wonder Woman, she's like, no, what am I doing here? I don't have time for this. Like her denial of everything. That's very Wonder Woman. Like she's not willing to admit for a second She's almost willing to admit, like, yeah, I get scared, but then nope, she recomposes herself, becomes Wonder Woman, the hero versus Diana, and shuts it down. And then Bruce, my God, Bruce can't even talk. Like, it all hit him like a ton of bricks, like all the crazy stuff he's done. And I was like, whoa. And I've seen a couple of complaints, like people don't like that Harley's a little overpowered in this. Like, people say, well, how could Harley do that? Come on, people, just suspension of belief, man. Why do you have to make everything so realistic? Yeah, I mean, yeah, just buy the plausible thing. She figures it out. She uses the lasso to make him tell the truth. She gets the kryptonite. She knocks out. It's just a fast bang, bang, bang. Harley got lucky kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah. It's because people don't like Harley. And I think Harley's been done really well in this comic book. I think we've seen, to me, this, Harley's broken. So, you got these scenes where she's being a nutball. Like, she found out where it is, and she's there with Ivy being a nutball. And then you see this scene later where she's realizing that she may have caused Ivy's death. And she's dropping that rose in the water, and she's like having this, like, I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have gone there. I shouldn't have, these really deep moments. And I like that. To me, that's Harley Quinn. This, like, okay, she's psychotic. There's, there's the good side still in her, and then there's the insane part still in her. Yeah. 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 I mean, that's what I'm liking about this book. It's turning things on its head. And I can see some people like, we don't need any more negative. The world right now is already depressing enough. But I think it's a good look at heroes, and art is influenced by what's going on in the world, whether we like it or not. And the world is dark, so this story is a little dark. But in the end, I'm hoping that it comes out in a hopeful way. So, is your theory, Fred, changed on whom the killer might be based on issue 2? Because you had a theory before.
No, I'm gonna still hold to it. I'm just interested to see where it goes. I'm not like the type of guy that's gonna get all pumped up or upset about where it goes. This is Tom King's interpretation, and I'm along for the ride.
Okay. Another book that probably had this, because I haven't read it, but you two have, is Extermination. How was Extermination?
It was pretty good. I like how they use the X-Force quite a bit, so I think, is that because the book's coming up soon?
Probably. We are getting an X-Force book. Who's writing X-Force? I don't know.
I forgot who.
Is it Rosenberg? God, I'll look that up. Well, you guys talk about, since I haven't read
sure.
Extermination. Go for it. Oh my gosh. Mm.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, after you read that, you marched into the editor's room and started complaining. Yeah, they're doing their jobs. You're showing reaction to it. You don't have to love it. You're giving reactions. That's what they want. It's all. I thought it was done well. I'm liking who wrote it.
And Breeson, who's writing the new X-Force book.
Yeah, so that makes sense that he's kind of like showing X-Force and things like that. I think this book's been done well. I enjoy the art. Let's be honest. I'll buy anything with X-Men and like it for the most part. So
yeah, that's awesome. I haven't read it and can't wait to read it. It's one of the books I bought at the shop even. When I buy them at the shop, that
Yeah.
means they rank high, and this one ranks high. Yeah.
Now, a book that I did read that I enjoyed more than Extermination is Spider Force 1. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Man, like when you mentioned to me that you wish that they would have a Spider family like that DC has a Bat family. Are you pitching that at Marvel yet? Because I'm all for that, because all these like Spider-Geddon books are done so well. I think this one was done extremely well because I like Priest writing. I mean, I like this writing on Deathstroke. I continue to like it on Deathstroke. Yeah, and like this, like just the voices of the different Spider family characters has been outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like this issue with who was it, Charlie? I thought that was like done well. Like the voice of Charlie in this book, I like really enjoyed that. I was like, oh wow, it's quickly becoming one of my favorite Spider guys. Mm-hmm. Grandpa. Yeah. Oh. Mm.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and
Priest. He's
then
not
he
scary.
threw some humor in there too. He was like, or like tan, really tan.
Yeah. That sounds like Priest. And Chris, you say that. I don't. I've never understood that logic about, like, say, the too many spiders, because I get that a lot from Marvel fans. How can you all have so many Robins and so many Batgirls? And you know what? I don't give a fuck. They're all good characters. They're all entertaining. They're. I mean, I like reading a Nightwing book, and I like reading a Red Hood book, and I like reading about Damien, and I like reading about Tim and Cass, and I like them. So that's my thing. I don't think there's too many. I don't think there's too many Wolverines either.
Mm-mm.
I
No.
think a good character is a good character, and I like spiders. I like bat people, and I like Wolverines more than I like Iron Man and Hulks and Caps and all that stuff. That's just me personally, and I think
Right.
there's a lot of people like me because these every time they do events with tons of spiders and tons of bat people, they tend to do well.
Well,
You
if you
know?
think about it, like the Spider Verse is similar to like the Bat Family. Like if DC's really strong, Bat Family people love it, and people love the spiders. Like you should capitalize on that.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think that's instant money. I mean, just think like the video game, and then Chris doing the comic zine, as well on the video game itself. Like, he knows that that's the pitch and that's something that could be interesting to write about. So, I mean, Spider-Man's hot right now.
Yeah, I mean, come on, he's Spider-Man, man. And
Right.
I'm buying all these Spider-Geddon books. I wasn't buying this much Marvel before. I'm not in on Infinity Wars, but I am in on Spider-Geddon.
Yeah. I buy all the Infinity Wars, but they're all piled up. I read the Spider-Geddon ones, and the X-Men are like the first Marvel books I read right away.
All right. Well, on that note, you can find us on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify. Find us on Libsyn. We leave our link all over our website. Give us a review. Give us a comment. Give us those 5 stars. Tell us what you like. And interact with us. Send us some questions. We can spend some time. We can answer some questions about anything. Maybe Chris can tell you a little something about Marvel. If he can't, he'll just say he can't. But it doesn't hurt to ask. Ask us what our favorite comics are or what we think you should check out. Yeah, give us a ring. All right. Well,
I'm open to talk about any Hobbit stuff you want to. I'm a straight shooter. But past that, go follow the Nation Nerds. Listen to Nation Nerds. Follow Leo at Leo Marquez something. I don't know. He doesn't even know that Andrew has a Twitter handle, so it doesn't really matter. Go follow Hiram. He's a good dude at Mr. Centron, Mr. Spelled Out. Go follow Rico at I just threw major shade at Leo right now, but he won't hear it, so it's cool. Go follow Rico at Rico Reads Comics. And and on that note,
Fred needs
just like
Snickers, man.
What? Just like the streets we call our home. Show some love for the creator. We out.
Peace. Oh my God. You just threw them all under the